Welcome to Motherland Tales. We are so glad to have you here. Please subscribe to our channel and like and comment your favorite part of the story. Let's begin. In a bustling city, where the noise of the streets never seemed to quiet, there lived a young woman named Lily. She had grown up in a small, cozy house on the outskirts of the city, surrounded by gardens filled with roses and daisies. Her parents were humble and kind, always teaching her the value of hard work, love, and honesty. Lily's world was simple, but it was enough to fill her heart with joy. However, there was one thing Lily always dreamed of: a life filled with luxury. She imagined grand parties, shining jewelry, and beautiful clothes, a life that seemed so distant from her modest upbringing. But life had a way of teaching lessons, and Lily would soon learn that sometimes the things we dream of come in the most unexpected ways. One sunny afternoon, while Lily was working in the flower shop she had opened in the heart of the city, she met a man named Daniel. He was handsome, with dark brown eyes that seemed to see straight through her, and a smile that could melt anyone's heart. He was different from the other customers who came in and out of the shop. He took his time, admiring the flowers, and struck up a conversation with her. "I've never seen roses like these before," he said, his fingers gently brushing the petals of a red rose. "Do you grow them yourself?" Lily smiled shyly. "Yes, I do. My parents used to grow them in our garden." Daniel nodded, his gaze lingering on her face. "You must come from a beautiful place then. It shows in the flowers you grow." Flattered by the compliment, Lily found herself drawn to him. They began to talk more often, and over time their casual chats turned into long conversations. Daniel would come to the shop every few days, buying flowers, but mostly just to spend time with Lily. He would ask about her dreams, her life, and listen intently as she spoke. He made her feel special, like she was the most important person in the world. One evening, after weeks of getting to know each other, Daniel invited Lily to dinner at a fancy restaurant. It was the kind of place Lily had only ever seen in magazines, luxurious, with soft lighting and velvet curtains. She was nervous, feeling out of place in her simple dress, but Daniel assured her she looked beautiful, and at that moment she realized it didn't matter what she wore. What mattered was the connection they had built. As the evening unfolded, they talked, laughed, and enjoyed each other's company. Daniel had a way of making everything feel easy and light. The world outside seemed to fade away as they shared stories, and for the first time in a long time, Lily felt like she truly belonged in a place of luxury. It wasn't the restaurant or the expensive food that made her feel this way. It was Daniel's kindness, his genuine interest in her, and the warmth between them. As the night drew to a close, Daniel walked her home, his hand gently brushing hers. When they reached her door, he stopped and turned to her. "Lily," he said softly, "I know this might seem too soon, but I want you to know that I care about you deeply. You're special, and I want to share my life with you." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't even realized how much she had come to care for him. But here he was, confessing his feelings in the most sincere way. "Daniel, I care about you too," she whispered, her cheeks flushed with happiness. In the weeks that followed, their bond only grew stronger. Daniel continued to show Lily a life of luxury, and he never made her feel small or unimportant. He would take her to art galleries, to beautiful parks, and on spontaneous trips to places she'd never dreamed of visiting. But no matter where they went, what mattered most to Lily was the way Daniel treated her, with love, respect, and kindness. One day, as they sat together in a park watching the sunset, Daniel turned to her with a thoughtful expression on his face. "Lily," he said, "I want to give you the world, but what I want more than anything is for you to always be happy. No amount of luxury will ever compare to seeing you smile." Lily felt a wave of emotion wash over her. "Daniel, I've realized something important," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "You've shown me a life of luxury, but I've also learned that happiness isn't about fancy things. It's about love, kindness, and sharing moments together." Daniel smiled, a soft, genuine smile that made her heart flutter. "You're right, Lily. I wanted to show you the world, but the truth is the world is right here, with you." Months had passed since that unforgettable evening when Daniel had opened Lily's eyes to a life of love, simplicity, and joy. The bond between them only deepened. and together they continued to explore the world, both the luxurious parts and the simple, quiet corners where time seemed to stand still. But just as life had given them a beautiful beginning, it had more twists in store. Lily's flower shop had grown in popularity, thanks to the attention Daniel had brought to her work. He would often take her to meet influential people in the city, and she learned more about the business side of things than she ever thought she would. Soon, Lily's flowers were gracing the homes of the city's elite, and her reputation grew. But the more successful her shop became, the busier she became. And as her success soared, so did the pressure. Daniel had his own life, his own responsibilities. He worked as an architect, designing some of the city's most beautiful buildings, and his career was just as demanding. Slowly, their time together became less frequent. The romantic dinners, the spontaneous trips, the lazy afternoons in the park, all of it seemed to slip away as both of them poured their time into their work. At first, Lily thought it was just a phase, a busy season that would pass. But the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months. They exchanged brief texts and hurried phone calls, but the deeper connection they had shared began to fray at the edges. Lily missed the laughter, the quiet moments of just being together. She began to feel lonely, even in a city filled with people. Daniel missed her too, and they decided to move in together and rekindle their love. Months had passed since Daniel and Lily had rekindled their connection, and everything seemed perfect. They were building a life together, focused on love, community, and simple joys. Their business ventures flourished, and the community garden project was becoming a beautiful success. But just as they were beginning to think they had it all figured out, the unexpected happened. One evening, after a long day of work, Daniel came home to find Lily sitting at the kitchen table, her hands trembling as she held a letter. Her face was pale, and her eyes, usually filled with warmth, were now clouded with confusion and pain. Daniel's heart sank. "What's wrong?" he asked softly, rushing to her side. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she handed him the letter. Daniel opened it slowly, his brow furrowing as he read the words. "Dear Lily, I never wanted you to find out like this. Daniel and I have been seeing each other for months now. It was never planned, but it just happened. I never meant to hurt you, but I can't keep this secret any longer. I think it's time for you to know the truth. Emily." The room felt like it was spinning. Lily had always trusted Daniel with her heart, and Emily, her best friend, had been like a sister to her. Her eyes began to sting with tears, but she couldn't make sense of the words on the page. "Daniel, is this true?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Have you been seeing Emily behind my back?" Daniel's face drained of color, and for a moment he was speechless. His hands trembled as he tried to find the right words to explain. "Lily, I didn't want you to find out like this. I never meant to hurt you. Emily and it was a mistake. It just happened, and I didn't know how to stop it. But I swear, Lily, you mean everything to me. This was never about you. It was about me and my own weaknesses." Lily stood up, the anger and betrayal coursing through her. "How could you do this to me?" she shouted, her voice breaking. "How could you betray me like this? I trusted you. I gave you everything. And Emily, my own best friend." Daniel reached out to her, but she pulled away, her heart shattered. "Please, Lily, I love you. I've made a terrible mistake, but I want to fix this. I need you to know that it was a moment of weakness, nothing more." But Lily couldn't hear him. The pain was too deep, the betrayal too fresh. How could she have been so blind, so trusting? Emily had always been there for her, and Daniel, well, he had always made her feel loved and cherished. How could they both have done this to her? In the days that followed, Lily retreated into herself, her world turned upside down. She closed the flower shop for a few days, unable to focus on anything. She couldn't face the people who had known her and Daniel as a couple. She couldn't even look at her garden, the place that had once been filled with love and beauty, now a painful reminder of everything she had lost. Meanwhile, Daniel tried everything to make amends. He sent flowers, wrote letters, called her repeatedly, but Lily couldn't bring herself to forgive him. Each gesture felt like a cruel reminder of how everything had fallen apart. And Emily? Emily tried to apologize too, but Lily couldn't bring herself to listen. The damage was done. Weeks passed, and Daniel eventually stopped reaching out. Lily didn't know where he went, but the emptiness in her heart remained. She still loved him, but she couldn't trust him anymore. It wasn't just about the betrayal, it was about the way her whole world had been turned upside down in the blink of an eye. Months later, Lily had picked up the pieces of her life, though the scars of the betrayal never fully healed. She had reopened the shop and found solace in her flowers, focusing on the beauty around her. But her heart still ached, and every day was a reminder of what could have been. Then, one afternoon, she received a letter, a handwritten note that arrived in an envelope with no return address. Lily, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to know something. I left the city. I couldn't stay, knowing how much I had hurt you. But I'm doing something I should have done a long time ago. Something I should have done for you. I'm selling the business. It's the least I can do. I'll always love you, Daniel. Lily stared at the letter, feeling a strange mix of anger and sadness. He was leaving. He had made the decision to walk away from everything they had built. But there was something more in his words, something that made her pause. He was giving up his business, the very thing that had caused so much distance between them. And that's when it hit her. The life she had wanted, the life of luxury and success, wasn't what truly mattered. It had always been about love, about the people who truly cared for her. Daniel had made a mistake, yes, but in his own way, he had tried to make it right. He was leaving everything behind, perhaps because he finally understood that some things, some people were worth more than all the success in the world. Months passed, and Lily grew stronger. She had learned to forgive herself first, and then in time, she began to understand that love wasn't always perfect. It was messy, complicated, and sometimes painful, but it was worth the effort to heal. Then, one bright morning, as she arranged a bouquet of freshly bloomed lilies in her shop, the door chimed again. She looked up, her heart skipping a beat. Standing in the doorway was Daniel, looking older, more tired, but with a softness in his eyes. "Lily," he said quietly, "I've spent months thinking about everything I've done. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I came here to ask if you would give me a chance to prove that I'm not the man I was before. I want to build something real with you this time. No lies, no mistakes, just honesty and love." Lily looked at him, her heart torn. She didn't know if she was ready to open that door again, but as she gazed into his eyes, she saw something she hadn't seen in him before. True regret, a genuine desire to make things right. Taking a deep breath, she smiled faintly. "I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet, Daniel, but I appreciate your honesty. For now, let's just take it one step at a time." And with that, Daniel stepped into her world once more. Not with the promises of luxury or grandeur, but with the hope of rebuilding something that was real. This story teaches us that sometimes love is not a straight path, and it's often tested by mistakes and betrayals. True healing comes not from perfection, but from understanding, growth, and the willingness to make amends. Trust takes time to rebuild, but it's never too late to start over, as long as we are honest with ourselves and each other. Question: do you think Lily should forgive Daniel?